Edit audio.
Too often, Black women are a mere afterthought in conversations around wellness, but not in this space. On this podcast, the dialogue is always centered around women like you. Welcome to the podcast, but more importantly, welcome to the tribe. Be well, sis. Hello, and welcome back to the Be Well Sis podcast. I am your host, Dr. Cassandra Dunbar. How has life been treating you? But more importantly, how have you been treating yourself? Me, I've been busy, but I've been well. I've been very, very busy, busier than I care to be, if I'm being really real with you. But I have been well, though the weather has done so much good to me. I just love seeing everything so green and so lush, and the flowers are blooming. I got myself some flowers for the porch. I love it. And I think I'm going to start growing some flowers this year too. I did a little bit in my potted plants, but I'm going to actually spread some seeds on the side of the house. So I'm really, really excited about that. So I've just been feeling good. I feel grounded. I feel really grateful. I'm telling you, as I get older, I feel like I'm becoming more, I don't know if it's sentimental, sensitive. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. Just seeing beautiful flowers and just beautiful sunsets and things like that, like a beautiful sky, literally will make me teary eyed. I don't know if I need to speak to my therapist about that or what, but the emotions are there. So overall, I'm in a really good space, and I really hope that you are too. So today is a solo episode. So it is just me and you doing a little bit of a chit chat, a little bit of a catch up. I have a couple things to share on my radar. And we have our first Not Well Sis audience member submission. So a first tribe submission. I'm really excited to share it with you. So we'll go through that. I'll put my little 2 cents in it. And yeah. So let's talk about where I have been. So I think I told you guys a couple weeks ago, I had a solo episode where I was saying how I'm sick of monotony. Life has been monotonous, right? And I think for most of us, it is rather monotonous. For the most of us, we have a routine, and routines are great. But sometimes those routines can make us feel like we're on a hamster wheel. And because I just hadn't gotten off of the hamster wheel and my days are so predictable, I was like, listen, babe, we need to change the scenery. I was talking to my husband, and he's like, well, I actually have a trip coming up for work, because the work that he does allows him to travel. So part of his work is that he travels a lot, which I guess in a way can be monotonous for him too. But in this case, he went to a city that he hadn't been to before. And I said, well, how about we tag along too? And we did, because the kids had their spring break. So he had to go to a conference in New Orleans, and we went too. So while he was working the conference, me and the boys were exploring the city. And I'm so grateful. First of all, I love New Orleans in general. New Orleans is just a special place. Like, the air is different, the people are different. You already know about the food. It feels so much like home to me. So I recently learned about something called astrocartography. And astrocartography essentially is kind of like, this is my very limited understanding about it. But what it is that apparently our zodiac has a lot to do with where we feel that we are thriving. So where we should live, where we'll be more abundant in terms of our work and things of that nature, has a lot to do with our own individual astrology. I haven't done it yet, but something about New Orleans makes me feel like that city is one of the places where I would feel my best, if that makes any sense. And I'll put a link to what is astrocartography in the chat, so it makes a little more sense to you, because I don't think I explained it well. But I say all that to say that New Orleans was such a good time. The boys and I, we did a lot of eating. We just ate our way through the city, and I love it. My kids are really becoming my little besties. We get each other. My youngest has a very limited palate, but I'm working on it. He does not want to try new things, but I'm actually proud of him, because he did try a couple of new things while we're in New Orleans. My oldest is literally, in terms of food, he's like me. He wants to try it. He loves to eat. Yes. So we had a good time trying different things. Say when my husband got off of work, we went to different restaurants and things. So it was really, really dope. What I wanted to do, I wanted to try the three like the most famous beignet places. There's three of them. So one of them is Cafe Du Monde, the other one is Lorraine's, and the other one is I think it's called Cafe Beignet. I think so. So we did the first two. We did Cafe Du Monde, then we also did Lorraine's, and my vote is that Lorraine's has the best beignets. So that was a good time. Of course, lots of seafood for me. It's still, I think it's wrapping up oyster season because it's getting too warm now, but I did have the char grilled oysters. Yum, yum, yum. However, I realized that what I really like about it is just the cheese. I like the melted cheese. Like the actual oyster itself is just like, okay, like it's fine. I could do without it, honestly. Just give me the cheese. But yeah, I had a really, really good time. And I didn't realize when we went that it was actually around the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. So August 29th, 2005, was when Hurricane Katrina made landfall in the Gulf Coast. And so this year they're celebrating or commemorating, I think is a more appropriate word, of that event. And the reason that I bring this up is because two things. Firstly, Essence Magazine had a beautiful spread. I think it was this month, just talking about the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina to the city. And then also, while I was there, I went to this restaurant called Katie's. It's a restaurant that was recommended to me because it was featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. So, Guy Fieri show. So I'm like, ooh, let me go try that out. So we went there, made a reservation to go. It's essentially in a house that they turned the first floor of the house into a restaurant. Really, really beautiful, like really quaint, really cute. I love it, right? So as we were waiting on the porch area for our seat to be ready, I looked and on the outside it said Hurricane Katrina waterline, and there was it was engraved in the front porch, the door of the front porch, and it was literally taller than me by a few inches. For reference, I'm 5'7", and I had seen the the footage. I remember seeing the footage on the news and different documentaries, and seeing images and like newspapers and things of that nature, but seeing it, just the waterline, just it sent chills. Yeah, it just sent chills up my spine because it just gave me more context as to and more perspective as to the devastation there. I have so many thoughts. I remember when the hurricane happened and the aftermath. So it happened August 29th, and that was and I'm dating myself, that was my senior year in college. And in that, I remember the fall. So just a few weeks later, I started my fall semester, and I was taking an environmental class. I was a bio major, and we were talking about Hurricane Katrina because it was happening. The effects were in real time. And I remember that was like step one of my radicalization because I was just like, we were talking and it all boiled down to green, green as in money. Like, not only could it have been prevented, meaning not the hurricane being prevented, right? I mean, this is a natural disaster, but the city could have been reinforced in a way to prevent such a catastrophe from happening, but it wasn't because of so many reasons that I'm not even going to get into right now. And also, even just the transport and how the city dealt with the situation in real time had everything to do, and the government had everything to do with the almighty dollar. And I was just sickened discussing this like with the class, with my professor. And it was just like, I vividly remember just sitting there at our little lab tables and just going off like, what is this world? What is this? Me and the boys spent a day at the aquarium and an insectarium as well. I had never been to an insectarium before. I don't like insects, but I was just like, you know what? The boys need to learn all the things. So we went, and it was actually pretty dope. I was like, okay, this is like, it was really well done. And I had a great time learning about the different insects and yeah, the differences between them and how they contribute to our environment. I learned that there are some of these caterpillars and things and some beetles that I usually do see in my garden that I hate. Some of them are actually really beneficial. So I'm going to see them in my garden this year and I'll be much kinder to them. So I know which ones have the ability to destroy all my crops and which ones are actually going to be helpful for the soil to make the soil more rich and nutrient dense for my plant babies to grow. But overall, it was just really well done and it was just really cool. And I always say this, but my kids were just so dang smart. They had a couple of gators in there, and it was an all-white gator. And I was like, oh wow, I guess he's albino or he has albinism. And my oldest was just like, no, in an animal, it's called leucistic. I was like, oh, okay. And I looked on the wall. In the exhibit description, just like a few feet away, it described, it said, yeah, it was leucistic was the word. I was like, look at you teaching me new stuff, and I love it. So we had a really good time. It was a long day, lots of walking. Our whole trip, the entire time was lots of walking, which I loved. So it was just good. It was just like a nice little refresh. I came home feeling just rejuvenated. Sometimes you need just a change of scenery, a change of pace. Even if it is not far, I really, really encourage everyone just to switch things up a bit because we need it. While routines are really important, changing things up are also equally important, right? So that is what I did. That is my little catch up. But the next time we catch up, hopefully I will be talking to you about how beautiful my flowers are because I'm really going to try to grow some flowers this year in addition to my usual crops. So this year, I'm growing the usual suspects such as tomatoes. I'm going to do some eggplant, some peppers. I'm going to do okra again this year. Not last year, but the year before, I did okra and the okra did really, really well. I'm going to do that. I'm going to try some beans. Last year, the beans did not take, but I'm going to give it a whirl again. And I'm going to try for some lettuce greens. So I'm going to do some spinach. I'm going to do some kale and some cabbage because I understand that kale and cabbage and collards are going to be hardier, so they will extend the season. I really am going to be diligent and intentional this year to really do a year-round garden. So we'll see how that goes. And then I'm going to do my usual herbs as well. My lavender, I'm going to do a lot of lavender this year because what I plan to do is to bring it inside the house. And I'm going to try my hand at strawberries again. So last year I put my strawberries in a pot that was kind of low and we grew a little bit. But what happened was there's like one of the fence boards was a little bit, it was loose. So the next door neighbor's dog came through and ate them. So this year I'm going to hang them high and along the fence essentially and see if anything comes from it. Hopefully I'll be able to actually reap what I sowed this year. So we'll see. But I'll keep you guys updated on all of my my plant nerd stuff. Like I'm just one of the reasons why I love summer and spring so much is because I get to play in the dirt and it just does something for like the child in me. Just sitting there playing in dirt. Like sometimes I don't even care if I can actually harvest anything. Just being able to like grow something is just so soothing to my nervous system. So with that, I would love to know two things. Where are you going for this summer? Again, it does not have to be far. Maybe it's just visiting a different part of town that you haven't before, right? So I would love to know what you plan to do to switch things up a bit. And if you are a gardener or a plant mom, I would love to know what you're growing, what you're working on. So please send me a DM on Instagram. I'm at bewellsis_podcast. I read every single one of your DMs. And I really just want us to be more of a community because I keep I yap and yap and yap, but I want to hear from you guys too. So yeah. Now let's hop into On My Radar. And this is where I talk about the wellness related people, places, and things that I'm currently obsessed with, and you should be too. And the thing that is on my radar are the Sacred Edge Drops. Sacred is the hair company created by Beyonce and Miss Tina. the Sacred Restoring Hair and Edge Drops. So, long story short, I've been eyeing this for a minute, but I didn't hear much about it in terms of like, had people used it and seen any difference? So I was just like, oh, let me just keep my eye on it, right? Like 2 months ago, or maybe like 2 months ago, I saw this man. He posted a before and after of him using the drops. The before showed he had hair. He wasn't bald, but the hair was starting to thin, right? And then with diligent daily use of the drops for, I think he said for like 6 or 8 weeks, let me tell you, the change was so significant. Like the hair had really filled in, and I saw another woman who was using it around the perimeter of her hair, so around her edges, and you could see all of the new little hairs that were popping up in just like 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm like, So then what I did was I just copied and pasted the actual ingredient list, and then I pasted it into ChatGPT, and I said to analyze this ingredient list. That's what I typically do now. If I'm looking at like a skincare product, hair care product, whatever, I'm going to just ask it to analyze the ingredients because I'm a nerd. So it did, and I didn't give like the name of the product or anything, and it did, and it said it is likely a scalp serum or hair stimulator, and it gave as to why. So it outlined the major active ingredients and how they have properties to restore hair, clarify the scalp, whatever, whatever. So I'm like, okay, so the ingredients are good. I'm seeing testimonials. Let me go ahead and pull the trigger and buy it. So I go on the website and it's not there. It is sold out. Okay. Probably because everybody saw the same things that I had been seeing and it was sold out. So I was on that list twice. When they replenished it, I missed the drop. So it was sold out again when I finally saw that email. So then I saw that, wow, Sacred is now in Ulta. So I said, you know what, let me go ahead and down to the Ulta and get me some Sacred drops. When I tell you that there was just about nothing left of Sacred, and I think it went live maybe like a week in my Ulta, except this one bottle of the drops. So I went ahead and bought myself the drops. And I say all of that to say that even with, I think about, for me, I've been using it consistently. You have to do it every night. I used it for about 2 weeks. I already see little hairs, coming up again in my edges. They're gray hairs, but they're hairs. You know what I'm saying? A win is a win. So I'm really excited to be really diligent about using the product and seeing what comes of it. The other thing that is actually on my radar is because my hair is in braids currently, and I didn't want to fully, and they're long, I didn't want to fully like submerge all of the hair to clean my scalp. I went and I found that Pattern Beauty has this really great scalp detox, and it is a 2-in-1 serum that they say delivers a reset between wash days and can be used as detoxifying pre-shampoo rinse. So it's great for restoring the scalp health during and after braids, wigs, weaves, and more. So what I did was I used that as my scalp cleanser. So I put a healthy amount on the scalp, and then I use a warm, damp washcloth to like then scrub between the braids, and it got a decent. My hair feels clean. So then I followed it up with my Sacred drops, and I would do that every couple nights because I want to make sure that the drops are going into a clean scalp. So far so good, friends. I'll come back hopefully with a praise report to let you guys know that my hairline has been fully restored. Not well, sis. Not Well Sis is where we vent, essentially. So you send in your letters, your voice notes, and we talk about whatever is on your mind, because venting is just as much as a part of self-care as all the other things that we do here. So with that, here is our first listener letter. Hey, Dr. Cassandra. So here's my situation. And honestly, I need someone to tell me if I'm overthinking this. Last year, I got a save the date for an old friend's wedding. Super cute card, looked like they put a lot of thought into it. I was genuinely excited. I've known them since college, and even though we aren't as close now, we've still kept in touch here and there. But the wedding is now about 3 months away, and I still haven't received an actual invite. Like nothing. No email, no paper invite, not even a text about logistics. And now I'm sitting here wondering, at what point do I just assume that I've been cut from the list? Part of me totally gets it. Weddings are expensive, guest lists get complicated, and things change. No hard feelings. But then it's like, why send a save the date if I didn't actually need to, save the date? The awkward part is I don't want to reach out and ask because if I have been cut, I don't want to put them in a super uncomfortable position of having to explain it or apologize. And I definitely don't want to make them feel guilty. That's the last thing I want. So now I'm just awkwardly sitting on this maybe invite, maybe not situation, trying to figure out if I should make other plans for that weekend or keep it blocked off just in case. Would love your take. What's the move here? Is it rude to ask? Is it rude not to? Help. Thanks so much. And we'll keep her anonymous. So I have a lot of thoughts. So it sounds like this person might be like a recent-ish grad. So somebody like in their 20s and such. I remember there was a season in my life in my late 20s where every year I can count on at least one or two weddings to go to before I had my own. So a couple things coming up that I think about is firstly, it is about that time. It's wedding season. So typically from like May through like September here in the US is where, the majority of weddings take place. So, firstly, I want to say you are super empathetic for even thinking about and considering what they might be going through. Because you're right, weddings are complicated, guest lists get complicated, they're expensive, and all of those things. So typically, what happens is the save the date is sent a year ahead of the wedding, and then usually about the etiquette says 6 to 8 weeks before the actual wedding date, the people will get the actual invite. Um, Most often, the invite is like a paper invite, but sometimes they can also be digital. I've seen that as well. So, firstly, I'm going to say this: I don't think that you're not overthinking this because the first thing that you said was, just need somebody to tell me if I'm overthinking this. You're not at all because we all need to make our plans, right? But if the wedding is, you didn't specify the actual wedding date per se, you said it's sometime. Oh, so it's 3 months away. So they still technically are within that window to send you a paper invite. However, I would be okay with reaching out just to see. I don't think it's pushy. I think, the word choice is going to be really important. I wouldn't send a text. I would just give them a quick call like, "Hey, how are things going?" Because things change. Life is happening for everybody and it's happening quickly for everybody. We don't know the situation. Maybe they may have made some changes to their venue. Maybe, they're curtailing their expenses because the economic climate is a little different, than it was even a year ago. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they're not together anymore. Who knows? So I think it's okay for you to reach out and just to check in general and to see what's going on. I get that you're not close with them, but I think it's okay to ask. I don't think it's pushy at all. Ask one time and then see what the vibe is, and then don't push it again. I love that you are coming from a really empathetic place. You're not coming from a place that seems entitled at all because you understand that things happen and that maybe you have been cut from the guest list, right? And also, weddings are such emotional times. I don't know what it is about wedding planning, but it really does get complicated and it sometimes brings out the worst in us because we're just stressed. Stressed thinking about all the logistics. And what I found is that even for me, I had a destination wedding because I wanted to cut out all the BS as much as possible. But even with a really intimate wedding, we had less than 100 people at our wedding, maybe 50 something people at the wedding. And it still was, we had to consider not only ourselves and what we wanted for the day, but we also had to consider what did our moms want, right? So thinking about other people's feelings and, budget constraints and all of those things really just sometimes just makes it much more difficult. And it might be that just things happen. Yeah. So it's really, really complicated. And then in terms of, you mentioned that you guys aren't super close. yeah, friendship drifts are really normal, especially, in that transition period. So people graduate from college and they might move away to new cities, even new countries, and people get invested in their relationships and their workplaces. And, just things happen. It's a really challenging time, right? Where you're really finding yourself and really trying to establish roots in your career and just learning about who you are as a true adult. So yeah, friendship drifts can happen, but also the save the date. I want to remind you guys that the save the date is not the same as a formal invitation. The save the date is kind of like a, hey, we're having a little engagement photo shoot. We're letting you know that we have the intention of sending you an invite a year from now, but shit changes, right? Within a year. So it's not a guarantee that you're absolutely going to be invited to the wedding. I would say though that typically, yes, you do get invited, but listen, things happen, right? Go ahead and check in, girl. You mentioned that the wedding is 3 months away. I would say if the wedding is like 6 weeks out and you still haven't received anything, then definitely reach out. I would start to reach out now, even before even asking about the save the date, just to see, hey, how are they doing, right? Just to keep that relationship and that connection going, especially if you value them as people and maybe you want to become closer than you are currently. Just check in. But then by the 6 week mark, definitely check in to see whether or not you are still invited to the wedding and the festivities and things of that nature. Right. And then if you are not invited, and that it can be a possibility, don't take it personal unless she says, hey, I'm not inviting you because I don't like you no more. I'm just kidding. I doubt that's the case. But yeah, if you aren't invited, don't take it personal and go ahead and make some plans, boo. Like we are not going to wait around for one person to have our fun. This I'm telling you, I'm really leaning into us really making the best of our situations and really investing our time and our energy in joy. So if you're not going to have a joyful experience at this wedding for whatever reason, if you are not invited, let's go ahead and make some joy, make some memories elsewhere. I really appreciate you reaching out. I'm super excited to get this first letter. So I encourage you guys to send a letter for the Not Well Sis segment. And as you know, the Not Well Sis segment is where you get a chance to kind of vent, to ask a question. It could be wellness related, relationship related, anything that's on your mind, your hearts want to get it out there. It could be a question or it can be like, you're just venting, and that's okay too. I read a study, I think it was last year or the year before, that was saying that Black women have higher rates of autoimmune disease, and research has found that one of the risk factors for autoimmune disease is actually holding things in, and that stayed with me. So it is okay to vent. It is okay to speak something that is on your mind. Just let it out, because sometimes we are not well, sis. So go ahead and send those letters in. You can send them either through DM on Instagram, or you can send in a voice note, and the link to send in a voice note that I'll play on the show is down below in the show notes, or there's just a form where you can just go ahead and send a letter like she did. Okay. So that is down below in the show notes. Again, I would love to hear all of your thoughts and what's going on with you, what's on your mind, what's on your heart. Answer some questions if you would like Auntie to do so. So that was it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining. Of course, as always, I am so glad you're here. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're really trying to grow our YouTube. So please go ahead, search Be Well Sis, and you will find our page. We are really trying to get to that first 1,000 mark. Right now we're at 230, 235. And I would really love it if we can get to that first 1,000. I'd really appreciate you. So go ahead and subscribe, like, all of the things there. And of course, share this episode and share your favorite Be Well Sis episode with your homegirl, with your tribe. But yeah, so that is it for today. Have a beautiful rest of your day, rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Be well, sis. Thank you for listening to this episode of Be Well Sis. If you'd like to get in touch with us, there's a link in the show notes. Be Well Sis is hosted by me, Dr. Cassandra Dunbar, and produced by Edit Audio. Don't forget to hit follow so you never miss an episode. Until next time, be well, sis.